So, the engine it is. Let's go for it.
Ah yes indeed, it is a big week here at Old Rope Salvage. A big week for dilemmas, that is.
I find it is quite difficult to work out what to do with it.
As Tim grapples with the mystery of our engine.
It's like brand new.
Which gets wheeled out into the spotlight at last. Has it been worked on before?
It's really leaving me with a lot of dilemmas.
Does he need to take it apart? Or should he, as I for one am secretly hoping, leave well alone and just get some paint on it? Some tricky decisions lie ahead, so tell us, what would you do? I'm still taking a break as engines aren't really my forte. So don't forget to give Tim some encouragement whilst he's on his own. And fingers crossed, we'll soon have this old Bedford fully restored and back on the road as the home on wheels we've all been dreaming of for so very, very long.
Hello and welcome back once again to the Old Rope Salvage workshop. You'll find me here today with an empty bench. This doesn't happen very often and it probably won't stay like this very long, I don't suppose. Yeah, anyway, last time you were here, sounds weird. So last time, on the last video, I was working on all the brake lines on the truck. They're pretty much finished now. I've done a little bit more work. I did all the plating on all the fittings that I had to reuse because they're pretty weird looking bits. So I've replated all those. I cleaned up the flexible hose that goes from the engine, from the compressor that goes up to the tank. So there's a point where there's a flexible in it. I also cleaned the flexibles that go to the handbrake. The hard metal pipes that went round the engine, which were the 5/8 inch, the big pipes, they've been sandblasted, painted. I've got new olives for them and I've replated the fittings on those. One of them has gone back in and there's 2 more to do. The only last bit to do really was the really thin lines. It's just taken me a little while to work out what they are and what pieces I need, what fittings I need. And I also had to clean up some bits, like they go to there's a methanol container. This is for the compressor. In really cold weather it kind of puts a mist of methanol into the air, I think, as far as I know, to stop the compressor head freezing up. But it's all part of the loop, you know. If it wasn't complete, there'd be air leaks and everything everywhere. So I've had to finish off some of these bits so that I know where the pipes connect to and all that kind of thing. But I shall get on with those when I get the bits. In the meantime, well, I can't remember what I said I was going to do in the last video. Yeah, I did kind of tease about the engine, didn't I? Or maybe this video, we'll get the engine out of its corner and have a look at it. Maybe that's what we'll do. It's heavy. So yeah, this is the original engine that came with the truck. It is a Bedford build, so they manufactured these things. A 300 cubic inch, which is 5 litre, straight 6-cylinder, petrol truck engine. It's very much like any other old engine of its time. Very little electrics, no electronics, really basic. The only thing that these have that cars wouldn't have is a compressor on the engine. And I think I'm probably just going to take a few bits off it. What's the plan? I don't know if there is really a plan. I'm going to wait to see what happens. But to start off with, I'm going to start stripping some stuff down off it, having a look at it all and seeing how far we get. Maybe it'll get down to not a lot left. Maybe, who knows? The specs on it look really good. It's got like 7 main bearings in it and forged crankshaft and stuff. It's built to last, really is. there is very little difference between the diesel and the petrol engines. The gasket sets are the same, apart from the head gaskets, which is kind of a good sign really, because diesel engines normally have to be built really beefy, and so a petrol built to that same sort of beefiness is an engine that will last forever, I should think. These were very popular in the older vehicles that Bedford made, like the RLs, the Green Goddesses. These had them. Hardly any I've ever seen in the M series trucks, because when they brought out the diesels, that's what really got bought by people. Although a lot of people mechanics still knew how to work on these old petrol ones, so in some foreign countries where these were shipped to, they were still fairly popular. Our particular one, we think probably, because it was a fire crash tender, the petrol engine made sense for that. Had a bit more horsepower, could get out and start up quickly and get off quickly, so probably that's the reason why it had a petrol engine. What else was I going to say about it? I thought there was something. What was I going to say? Diesel, petrol.
Well, I guess we'll never know. Welcome to my world, folks. If you've been following this restoration journey for a while now, you might remember that day a couple of summers back when we hauled the engine out just prior to beginning work on the chassis. That seems like a long time ago now, and indeed the poor engine has been sitting on its trolley in the corner ever since. We've long had an idea about our intentions for this engine, but we weren't going to be sure until having a really good look at it, something we've not had the chance to do until now. So this is exciting times for us, because it means only one thing: we're almost done.
Well, a few bits taken off the engine. Should be a little bit easier now to take them apart and have a good look at them. I'm going to clean all of these up, have a good look, and then work out what to do next with the engine. Alright, let's get cleaning.
Right, so that workbench didn't stay empty for long, did it? So what's he taking apart now, I hear your inquiring minds wonder. Well, this, I have been informed, is the distributor, the thing which sends a high voltage burst of electricity to those red wires you can see in front of him there, and goes on to ignite the fuel in the engine and make the whole thing, go. By taking it apart, he can see that the distributor has in fact already been upgraded in the past, as the old outdated points have been replaced by a maintenance-free electronic unit. To get the shaft holding the mechanical advanced parts out, Tim needs to remove the bottom drive gear, which is held in by a small pin. This he drives out with a good old-fashioned hammer, and not to worry, because he will, I am assured, know which way to put it back in again. As you may have already noticed, he marked the spot with some Tipp-Ex. By taking these things apart, Tim can obviously see how good a condition it's in, if anything needs replacing, if it's damaged, dirty, rusty, and bit by bit he can hopefully build a picture of the condition of the engine in general, which so far is looking unexpectedly really, really good. Next up is the fuel pump, which does the most important job of sucking petrol all the way from the fuel tank and into the carburettors. Tim is removing the glass bowl, which is a filter to remove any dirt and water from the petrol, then the black seal, which stops the bowl from leaking, and then the filter mesh strainer. It seems like quite a lot of complicated stuff to me, and I was proper impressed with the grand job he was doing. That was until he forgot about the handy spill tray he had next to him, and did this. Ah well, nobody's perfect.
think these bits are new in here. I was worried that this might be leaking because there was some fuel in the engine oil, or the smell of it, which is an indication that you might have a leaking fuel pump. But this looks like it might be a new one. Cool. The plan with the engine so far, if you can call it a plan, is to take apart as much as I need to, clean it up, make sure everything's going to work, make sure it's not going to go all rusty and everything, put it back together, put it in the truck. We've decided to stay with the petrol engine that came with it because it's what we've got. It's our quickest, easiest, cheapest way of getting us back on the road. The diesel engine that came with these would be quite a straight swap. They share the same engine mounts, many of the same parts, and if we had one of those diesel engines, that would be quite an easy conversion for us to make over. But we don't have the diesel engine. We have a petrol engine, and you know, I always like to be a bit different. We've got an old truck here, so why not? The only thing with a petrol engine is they're probably a bit more expensive to run, and while we are still hoping that we can convert this to LPG or propane, whatever you want to call it, gas, we would still have the fuel system, so the carburetors, the petrol part of it, that would still be remaining, and it would be possible to run it on petrol, but we'd have the option of running it on LPG as well. This is a much cheaper fuel if you can get it. It's much more popular in Europe than it is in the UK now. That would kind of bring down the costs quite considerably. The only problem maybe with the LPG is that it's still put onto modern cars, but they're all done with electronic fuel injection systems, and the systems that they install on the cars revolve around their modern electronics that they have. With our older vehicle, we have to rely on a sort of different system, and these aren't really installed nowadays very much. So what we've got to look at is older technology, which there aren't many people who supply that, or the information is really hard to come by. If anyone who's watching this knows and does LPG conversions on older vehicles, I'd love you to get in touch and tell us. I've done some research as much as I can. I think I know kind of what the way we need to do it, but it's getting hold of all the parts for it as well, and some big tanks to hold it all. So yeah, that's the plan. Take the engine apart, check it out, see what it needs doing to it, fixing up ancillary parts, making sure it's going to run, and get us down the road a few miles. That's what the plan is, and why we're staying with the petrol engine. That's the plan. I've taken all the ancillary parts off this engine, and they came off really easy, way easier than anything came apart on the chassis. And then I've cleaned it up, and it cleaned up really nice. It looks like it's had more than just a gloss over of a coat of paint. I'm actually thinking this thing's been taken apart and some work's been done on it. And it's a bit curious because I don't know how much work. If I knew that this had been stripped down and rebuilt or something, I wouldn't be taking it apart. But I really want to know what has been done to it. I'm at a quandary really, what to do with it. If anyone out there who's watching this knows anything about this old truck and this engine, if you're a past owner or anything like that, and you know if any work's been done on this, please let me know in the comments, because it could save me quite a bit of time and effort and money. I'm going to repair and clean up all the ancillary parts on my desk that are there now, and I don't really know what to do with this. I'm going to go a little bit further, probably take the water pump off it. I'm going to take off the oil filter housing here. I'm going to take the top off, just have a look at the top of the head. I haven't got a head gasket yet, although I have got all the bottom end gaskets. So I'm going to work on the other bits and think about this bit. But it looks really good. It cleaned up so well, so nice. I'm going to repaint it because it's flaked off in places. But yeah, it's a bit. Seems like there's been a bit of work going on in it. So I don't know.
Well, it's all a bit of a mystery. Might it be too much to hope for that this engine has already had all, or at least much, of the work done by a relatively recent previous owner, thus getting us off the hook?
Nice nuts.
After all the months and years of truly hard graft restoring this truck, maybe it's not surprising that we're feeling a little bit cautious about celebrating too soon.
Been glued on.
But the signs, dare I even say it out loud, are looking tentatively encouraging.
Oh, it's been siliconed right on.
Now, I did say tentatively.
Looks like brand new. That is really good. I should be happy. I should be really happy. That is really good. I am happy. I wish I knew if the work goes all the way inside. But that is like amazing.
Just like an evening dress, break to the right, sway to the left. In the morning everything is spent, and I make my way back home. What the wires couldn't catch
The more I delve into this engine, the more questions it throws up, rather than resolving the answers. The ancillary parts came off really easy when I first started taking it apart, and it kind of made me realise it's very different to the rest of the truck, where everything was really hard to come apart. The rest of the truck had maintenance, I suppose, done to it, but it still all needed taking apart and sorting out and fixing up. The engine's a little bit different. I think this has had work done to it. I have got some old photograph that showed the engine freshly painted and quite bearish, but kind of how it is at the moment, really. And I'm kind of like, I wish I knew how much it had done to it. It's really leaving me with a lot of dilemmas, a quandary. I will take the water pump off it and some bits and pieces. It gets more and more difficult. If I wanted to get the compressor off, I have to take all the housing off. I'd need some special tools to pull the gears off it and stuff. I'd really like to strip it down a little bit more, but it's sort of knowing where to stop, where to draw the line. And yeah, I find it is quite difficult to work out what to do with it. I'm pretty confident if we just ran it, it would be okay. And the engine itself is like, we had dilemmas whether to change it anyway, so if I was keeping it forever, I would definitely take it apart and have a good look at it. But the whole project as well, the timeline of it and what we do and how much work we put into it, it's just a big dilemma. If anyone has any advice, what would you do in this situation? Would you just sort of give it a lick of paint, put the ancillary parts back on it and put it back in the truck? Or would you strip it down a bit more? Would you have a good look at it? Russ suggested that I get one of the little cameras that you can put to your mobile phone and put it down the spark plug holes and have a look at the bores if that's possible, just to get an idea of what that might look like. It's definitely worthwhile, good thought. Yeah, I don't know what to do with it. I'll just keep plodding on and seeing what I can come up with. But yeah, any advice, please leave a comment. Let me know what you would do. This video might come out, trouble is I work in advance, and so by the time I read the comments I might have chosen what I'm going to do anyway, but it'd be interesting to look back anyway to see what your advice would be. Yeah, I just wish I knew how much it had done to it, whether it's just been painted over or whether it's actually been taken apart and a lot of work's been done. God, I don't know. We could be lucky with this engine and maybe it's had some work done to it. But by the time I've taken it apart, I'm going to have to redo it all anyway. Oh, if I had another head gasket, if I knew I had a head gasket, I would just take the head off. But I don't know what the head gasket looks like exactly until I take the head off, in which case it's too late at that point. And I've seen one for sale for a 300 cubic inch petrol engine, but I don't know if that's for a 1956 RL or it's a late mid 70s M series. I don't know what it is. And like I say, by the time I take the head off it, I need a new gasket at that point. Anyway, I'll get on it. I'll carry on working, see where I get to. Yeah. I think I'm going to call that the end of part one of taking the engine apart. It's been a video of dilemma and uncertainness. Do we have a great engine or don't we? Has it been painted over to make it look good, or is it actually really, really good on the inside? It's clear straight away from taking it apart. It came apart really quickly. There's definitely been some work done on this. As I've been taking it all apart, the ancillary parts, it almost looks like the fuel pump's been rebuilt at some point. It's got new bits in it. A lot of it looks really good. The distributor's all in pieces here. Starter motor's in pieces. All of this stuff with a couple of little gaskets and a few little bits and pieces is really good. The manifold's brilliant. I'm gonna sort out the exhaust manifold. All looks really cool. I think the carburetors have probably been rebuilt at some point as well. We do have an old receipt that's for repair kits for them. Mostly is good. The alternator turns out to be quite a low powered one, so I'm going to keep my eyes open for another one of those. But yeah, we started off with the old engine in the corner there, and now that is in the spray booth at the moment and is getting more and more stripped down. My dilemmas continue as to whether I take it apart more or not. I've just had Nick Turley in there and we've been talking about it. Hello everybody. I think he would just put it together and run it. But then some other people would like, well, you got to get that apart. As I said earlier, any of your own comments or what you would do with it, please let me know. Well, with these videos, it's really nice to make them have a beginning and an end to them, but I think this is something that's going to continue for a little while now. And where I was just going to work on the engine and get that working together, I think it works better for my timing and the flow of things to do stuff in batches, as in like all the plating and the powder coating all done at one time. And also, if we have a really good weather day, like we did last Thursday, I'm going to take the opportunity to do things like the wheels and stuff like that, so away from the engine. We're going to come back to this next time, I'm sure, because this is the majority of my work now. But yeah, this is where we are. We've got an engine in a lot of bits. It's Lisa telling me what she wants for supper, what I've got to go and pick up. Yeah, we've got a lot of bits. It's all coming together, really. It's just some fiddly stuff, cleaning it all up and painting it and finishing it all and putting it all back together again. And yeah, we'll work out what to do with the engine. Got a couple of things lined up for next time, I think. We'll see how it goes. Until then, thank you very much for watching. I hope this was a little bit enjoyable, not so informative, I'm sure. Thanks as ever for all the comments we've got, like on the last video. Thank you very much, and thank you very much to our patrons as always. We'll see you, or I'll see you next time back in here. So until then, bye. I see what she needs for shopping. I don't know if I can get that down the shops.
That should get him home for supper on time. Thanks as always to our patrons and to everyone for watching. We'll see you back in the workshop again soon.
Settle down.